Great. Good morning, great traders. Good morning again, and welcome to the God of Indices channel. This is our weekly commentary where we try as much as possible to kind of show you the direction of the market so you know what you're anticipating going into the new week, right? So as our custom is, right, I always advise all my students, both public and private students, to stick to one currency pair trading. So GU is that pair, right? GU is that pair, right? So we're going to be looking at when we're trying to predict the direction the market will be going into this week on GU, right? When we're doing that. So please, before we go deep into this, if this is your first time or this your repeat time student to this channel and you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe and subscribe, like, and turn on post notifications so you get all our latest uploads to the channel, and also endeavor to share to your friends and family that you know are interested in trading, because there's so much of value packed in this session, so much of value packed, right? I dropped gems in this session. If you go over them and watch them, you see I dropped some gems that they will really change your trading if you pay attention to them, to those gems, right? So welcome to the God of Indices channel. So we'll go straight right into it, right? So I'll go to time frames, the weekly down to daily, since I always advise day traders, right? You can also use those time frames even as swing traders, but I like to first of all start on the weekly time frame. So let's go straight down into the weekly time frame, right? What's they have the last time I dropped a video on here, I told you that GU is looking forward to go down, and that sell move did eventually happen, right? It did eventually happen on GU, right? So going into this week, what are we looking at on GU, right? We saw a sell that got straight down into, on the weekly time frame, into the same fair value gap that was resting here, and we can see this fair value gap is holding forth strong as a support. It's holding strong as a support. But what? That is also a trick, right? For the retail trader, that's also a trick to think that it also comes. Why? Why do I say it's a trick? Why? Because this same fair value gap has created a neat relative equal low. Relative equal low. That's what we call the relative equal low, right? Which is liquidity for the market. Sell side liquidity, that is a great magnet for the market. The relative equal lows resting within here, this rejection. So a lot of retail traders will be pouncing in on this, saying, oh, this is a very strong support zone. But I see in the future that this zone is going to be violated. Why? Because we have strong liquidity here, right? So going into this week, this is what I anticipate. I anticipate for price to come down after the run of this sell side liquidity and this what they call it, the violation of this order block here, the violation of this order block. Sorry, the violation of that fair value gap, that daily fair value gap. My bad. That's not another block. So there's another block resting within it, but the other block is still holding price because it's not yet been validated, right? So after the violation of this fair value gap, let me delete this so we see clearly. We see that this is the sell side liquidity that we're targeting. That price will most likely be targeting to run, right? I think the bearish move has just begun on GU, right? We're going to be getting retracement, but this is the bearish move. And our possible drawn liquidity going forward will be these lows here, this relative equal lows hanging right in here, right? This will be a drawn liquidity. So I expect price to go back into this violated fair value gap that served as an inversion fair value gap to go down for this. This is what I'll be anticipating, right? Well, remember, we're on the weekly time frame, so this might not just happen next week. It might happen in the coming weeks. Yeah, there's a possibility with news drivers and news coming up, right? See which news do we have coming up in the beginning of the month, right? So those news drivers might serve to expedite action, but this is my draw on liquidity. But as a day trader, I want to go to the daily to see what price is presenting, to see where to take, because there's also a likelihood of a buy going into this zone. So let's see how we can position ourselves for this buy, right? Can you see exactly what I said? This same spot here, this same spot, the relative equal lows shown on the weekly time frame. Can you see how nicely it's looking on the daily time frame? If this is not even relative, this is equal lows, exactly equal lows, right? They're equal lows and they serve as magnet for price, right? So looking at the daily time frame, we see price has got done a bearish run. So we should be anticipating a bullish run, right now. So after this Wednesday low was run, liquidity was run, and we got a closure below there. So the next thing we should be looking for, like I said, for price to go into this, right? So now, however, we have also, there's something we have here. We have also a fair value gap resting here, right? Does that tell us anything? Looking at the daily time frame, we see that already we have a daily candle that has traded into this zone. So that also gives us a likelihood that price might not get into the spot, right? It's a probability, right? I'm not 100% sure yet, but since we see on the daily, on the weekly, we saw that this zone was not retested. But on the daily, when we are going, we see that there's a little candle closure below that zone there. And we see that we had the this daily candle open and trade into this zone, into that fair value gap that aligns with that weekly fair value gap there. So there's a likelihood that we might not get the trade into this. This might just be the zone that will just hold price and keep pushing it down. So looking at the daily, this is also a possibility that price will just go down from here before we might likely continue up to the upside, right? So looking at it from the daily point of view, let's still go down to the 4 hours. Please also remember that the same analysis we're doing on GU, they are GU is highly correlated with EU. So same applies. If you look at EU should be telling you the same story, right? And it's inversely correlated to DXY. So if you are the trader that like to look at the SY, or you want to look at the XY still, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get an inverse of this. So for this move to be supported to the upside, it means we are likely going to the week. Dollar will be weak a bit to get this retracement. Then we'll get the strengthening of the dollar, right? So it's all about the time and it's all about the price, right? So if we go into the 4-hour time frame, let's see what we see on the 4-hour time frame. Wow, this is good because 4 hours is showing us a good bearish structure, right? So after this point here, after this big lower high, we broke this low, right? We created a lower low around here, right? So we created another short lower high. So it's giving us bearish structure going downwards. Do we understand? So this is what we expect. So this supports our narrative, right? Can we see that this also steps into this zone? It supports our narrative, right? However, there's also a likely possibility that this also might serve as liquidity for price to still run into this zone before coming down. But I'll be looking at majorly, I'll be looking at this zone. I'll be looking at this zone to stand. This zone is a key area for me. I'm looking at. So that two key area here and here. Now, what you want to do, if you want to be safe, you want to watch for a switch again bearish on your lower time frame, either the 1 hour M15 or M30, for you to be sure that price is going to go down. But if you see the reversal, if you see that price is continue pushing up, then you can take the trades going out. And that's what we teach on the God of Indices channel. So you can go back and watch our playlist on the Profitable Trader Masterclass, and you understand how we look at it. So we can trade whatever direction, be it the retracement or the expansion coming back down to the downside. Hope this has been insightful and really productive. So going into the week, we are still bearish on GU. We might likely get possible small bullish retracement, but we are still bearish on GU. So thank you so much for staying tuned, and I hope this has been insightful. Please don't forget to subscribe and share and turn on post notification for all our posts on this channel so that we can continue to bring you more value in this space. Thank you so much. Have a great